Hello, I'm Greg from the Binge List, and I make recommendations for TV shows that you can access from the comfort of your own home, and I cannot believe it is going to be March of 2026 already, so I figured it is time to go through what looks like the best 15 new shows to binge watch in March. Today's list has sci-fi, thrillers, action, adventure, comedy, horror, and everything in between. So, as always, stop mindlessly scrolling, stop wasting your time, and let's check out this list.
Promise me something. You must stay out of trouble.
Understood? No more trouble, Mother.
First on our list today is a title I am super excited about this month and is hitting Prime Video on March 4th, and this is Guy Ritchie's Young Sherlock. This looks like it is going to be a full-throttle, high-budget origin story for the most famous detective in the world, filtered entirely through Guy Ritchie's chaotic, kinetic style. So this is a perfect combination. You can forget the polished, pipe-smoking mastermind we're used to. This is Sherlock Holmes at 19 years old, and he is raw, undisciplined, brilliant, but reckless. While studying at Oxford in the 1870s, Sherlock finds himself at the center of a murder investigation that threatens his freedom. He's disgraced, and the only way out is to do the one thing he's never truly done before: solve a real case. But what starts as a campus murder quickly spirals into something much bigger. And in a bold departure from tradition, James Moriarty isn't introduced as some distant shadow villain. He's Sherlock's friend, and watching the future greatest hero and greatest villain in literature form a bond might be the smartest hook this show has. Now let's talk about the Guy Ritchie factor. If you loved his Sherlock Holmes films with Robert Downey Jr., you're going to feel right at home. Expect kinetic action, fast-talking dialogue, stylish chaos, and that signature Sherlock vision. And obviously the slow-motion breakdowns of fights and deductions that feel part math, part madness. Ritchie brings the Victorian era to life in his own way. It is dangerous, colorful, and packed with underground figures, secret societies, and high-stakes tension. This isn't a dusty period drama. It's almost a Marvel Spotlight version of Sherlock, character-focused, standalone, and built to work whether you know the lore or not. You get origin story payoff without homework. You see where the eccentricities come from, where the arrogance forms, where the obsession begins. But if you know the Sherlock Moriarty relationship, you know that's the emotional time bomb ticking underneath the entire show. So if you want something fast, fun, cinematic, and wildly bingeable, this is the one Prime Video is betting you won't be able to stop watching.
Hi.
Sorry. I just wanted to be sure you were here in the flesh.
As opposed to what?
Oh, in my dreams.
Next up is our first Netflix original, and this is Vladimir that we are getting on March 5th. And I will say this right away because from what I read, this is not going to be a casual watch. It's a razor-sharp psychological drama with dark comedy baked in, and the episodes are only 30 minutes long, which makes it dangerously bingeable. The story is set at a small, elite liberal arts college, and it takes the classic campus novel formula and flips it on its head. Rachel Weisz plays a middle-aged English professor. She's brilliant, sharp, and stuck. Her husband, John, is also a professor, and he's currently wrapped up in a scandal involving past inappropriate relationships with students. So the ground beneath her life is already cracking. Then enter Vladimir, played by Leo Woodall. He's a charismatic, celebrated young novelist who joins the faculty. He is talented, magnetic, and very aware of the effect he has on people, and she becomes instantly and dangerously obsessed, not just with his looks, but with what he represents. And here's where it gets really interesting. Rachel Weisz frequently breaks the fourth wall. She talks directly to us, confides in us, justifies herself to us, pulls us into her inner monologue. But as the season unfolds, it is said to become very clear that her version of events is somewhat unreliable. Her desires distort reality, and we as the audience are forced to question what's true and what's projection. So if you like your dramas sharp, character-driven, and just a little bit dangerous with a star-studded cast, this one looks like one to keep your eyes on.
I'm gonna go to college having never had a girlfriend.
Hey, what about Erin? She's single.
Never happened though, she doesn't date dorks.
Hey, you never know. Maybe she's sick of guys with lots of confidence, chiseled jaws, and huge dicks.
Let's move forward and talk about the return of everyone's favorite foul-mouthed teddy bear. Because on March 5th, Ted Season 2 drops all 8 episodes on Peacock, and after the breakout success of Season 1, this feels like it's going to be one of the biggest comedy binges of the month. Seth MacFarlane brings the R-rated 90s nostalgia back in full force, and this time we're heading into senior year, which means the stakes are actually higher, at least in teenage terms. Set in 1994, the Thunder Buddies are staring down graduation and the terrifying question of what comes next. John and Ted are desperate to make their mark before high school ends, leading to bigger schemes, worse dating disasters, and plenty of identity crisis energy. The Bennett family dynamic is still hilariously dysfunctional, and early teases promise chaotic storylines, from Dungeons & Dragons misadventures to Ted trying to revive his expired fame. What really makes the show work, though, is the chemistry. Max Burkholder nails the awkward sincerity of teenage John, and his back and forth with McFarlane's Ted feels effortless. Underneath the crude jokes and completely unfiltered humor, there's real heart. It's fundamentally about two outsiders who only truly have each other, and that emotional core is what keeps it from feeling one note. The 1994 setting adds another layer of fun, leaning fully into pre-internet teenage life, music, and fashion. With a bigger budget and sharper visuals this season, everything looks tighter and more confident. But in short, Ted Season 2 is your ultimate stress relief binge for March. It is going to be loud, ridiculous, unapologetic, but surprisingly heartfelt when it counts.
Let me be your baby.
If you're a K-drama fan, this is an awesome option for you here in March, and this is Boyfriend on Demand that premieres globally on March 6th on Netflix. This is a high-concept rom-com with a sci-fi twist that is set in a near-future Seoul, where technology has found a way to optimize love. Jisoo plays a brilliant but chronically exhausted webtoon producer whose career is thriving while her personal life is completely drained. Instead of dealing with the messiness of real-world dating, she subscribes to a virtual reality service called Boyfriend on Demand, where AI-generated partners are customized perfectly to her mood. But in real life, she's constantly clashing with her cold, competitive colleague Park. As her digital romance world expands, the show starts asking the real question: is perfection actually what we need? One of the biggest draws here is Jisoo stepping fully into her rom-com era. Her character taps directly into burnout culture and the temptation to outsource emotional labor. The rotating Boyfriend of the Month format also turns every episode into an event. I have read there are tons of cameos from major K-drama heartthrobs, and you genuinely never know who's showing up next. But the heart of the show lies in the chemistry between Jisoo and Seo In-guk. He brings that classic enemies to lovers tension, grounding the story in something real while the virtual world offers fantasy. So if you enjoy the stylish and bingeable nature of K-dramas, this looks like an intriguing option here in March. Let's move forwards and talk about another Netflix title, and this is Girl from Nowhere, the reset hitting Netflix on March 7th. And this is not a continuation, this is a full reimagining of the cult favorite Thai thriller. This isn't season 3, it's a standalone reboot set in a different timeline, meaning the world doesn't know Nano yet, and yes, there's a brand new Nano. Becky Armstrong steps into the role, and that casting choice alone has lit up the fandom. This version of Nano is described as more emotionally volatile and rage-fueled, less detached puppet master, more simmering chaos, and she brings a polished, almost sweet exterior at first, which makes the darker turns feel even more jarring. The core concept remains the same, transfers into 6 elite schools, exposing the rot beneath prestigious facades, from bullying and misconduct to corruption and abuse of power, but tonally this reset leans harder into the supernatural. The creators have embraced the Junji Ito Tomi influence, making this Nano feel more like a monstrous entity than just a mysterious girl. Each episode is directed by a different filmmaker, giving us 6 distinct nightmares, from home invasion thriller to psychological slasher to sharp satire about social media obsession and parasocial culture. It keeps the anthology structure fresh while pushing the horror into more visceral territory. The reset feels like a bold evolution of an iconic character for a new generation. It's stylish, unsettling, and definitely worth checking out for yourself.
I'm here to make sure that Katie's job is safe.
She burned down a faculty house.
It was an accident.
She also assaulted a professor.
I still love you.
Ow! That was on purpose.
This next one feels like a standout pick for March, especially if you've been waiting for Steve Carell to step back into a lead comedy role. And this is Rooster, premiering Sunday, March 8th on HBO Max. And this feels like a major event. It's a campus comedy from Bill Lawrence, who many know from his other incredible shows Ted Lasso and Scrubs. Carell plays Greg, a world-famous author known for writing wildly popular and slightly smutty romance novels. When his daughter Katie, a professor at a small liberal arts college, goes through a very public and messy breakdown after her husband leaves her for a graduate student, Greg shows up to help. The problem? His presence creates more chaos than comfort. Students nickname him Rooster because he resembles the hyper-masculine hero from his own books, but this is a persona he absolutely does not feel equipped to embody in real life. To stay close to Katie, Greg ends up taking a temporary role on campus, and suddenly he's navigating academic snobbery, student worship, and an increasingly complicated relationship with the college president. The supporting cast adds to the organized insanity, with Annie Momolo, Scott MacArthur, Connie Britton, and Danielle Deadweiler rounding out a faculty and social circle that feels primed for comedic collision. What makes this especially promising is the Bill Lawrence factor. His shows manage to be sharp and cynical while still deeply kind at their core. There's emotional weight here, particularly in the messy, loving dynamic between a father and his adult daughter, alongside the satire. And for Carell, this feels like a return to the kind of awkward, well-meaning character that made him iconic. So 100% check out Rooster for a smart and heartfelt show that is anchored by one of the best comedic actors working today.
So let's celebrate!
Next is the one I'm most excited about in March. After nearly 3 years, One Piece Season 2 finally premieres on the 10th on Netflix with a full season drop, and Netflix is treating it like a full-blown event, even bringing the first 2 episodes to select theaters. That alone tells you how confident they are in this title. Season 2 picks up immediately as the Straw Hats enter the Grand Line, and the world is expanding fast. They are covering Logtown, Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and Drum Island, officially stepping into Baroque Works territory with the looming threat of Crocodile in the background. But this season ends with Drum Island, saving the Alabasta War for Season 3, which means this season is about escalation. The danger increases, the world gets bigger and certainly stranger, and yes, Tony Chopper is here. This was the VFX challenge everyone was watching for, and early footage suggests they nailed the balance between adorable and emotionally devastating. His journey from being seen as a monster to becoming the crew's doctor is said to be the emotional core of the season. On top of that, the villain casting is stacked. You have Joe Manganiello as Crocodile, Lara Abova as Miss All Sunday, and David Dasmalkian as Mr. 3. And if that is not enough, we are getting these massive set pieces that look incredible, filled with fantasy, but just real enough that it feels like you can walk into them. I am super pumped for One Piece Season 2. It feels like a wilder, bigger, more ambitious expansion of what already worked. More heart, higher stakes, bigger spectacle. So if you're watching one blockbuster series in March, this is the must-see event.
I came back to this job because I didn't like the way I left things last time around.
Up next is a crime thriller on Prime Video, and this is Scarpetta that premieres March 11th. This series is bringing Patricia Cornwell's iconic forensic thriller series to the screen with serious star power. Nicole Kidman leads as a meticulous chief medical examiner who returns to her hometown in Virginia, only to face a horrifying twist. A new murder mirrors a case she solved 28 years ago, exactly mirrors it, and that forces the question that could unravel her entire legacy. Did she catch the wrong person, or is someone deliberately trying to destroy her? The series smartly uses a dual timeline structure, flashing back to the late 1990s while the modern day investigation unfolds. We see gritty analog forensics in the past, contrasted with today's digital high-tech pathology, which adds both tension and emotional weight. Rosie McEwen plays a younger Kay in those flashbacks, giving us insight into the decisions that may now come back to haunt her. It's not just about solving a crime, it's about confronting your own history. But what really elevates this is the family drama. Jamie Lee Curtis plays Kay's sister Dorothy, and their dynamic is being described as electric. Kay is clinical and controlled, where Dorothy is volatile and emotionally driven. Watching Kidman and Curtis go head-to-head as sisters feels like a prestige character drama layered over a forensic thriller. Ariana DeBose rounds out the core trio as Lucy, Kay's tech-savvy niece, bridging the generational and emotional divide while bringing modern investigative firepower to the case. Visually moody and leaning into a southern gothic tone, Scarpetta feels deliberate, dark, and psychologically rich. With this cast and creative team, Prime Video is clearly aiming for a definitive adaptation. But if you love intelligent, character-driven crime dramas that explore both justice and the personal cost of seeking it, this feels like a must-watch procedural for 2026.
That's why I'm here. I make a memory a day.
Now let's shift gears to what might be the emotional heavyweight of March, the Madison. This latest chapter in the Sheridan-verse premieres March 14th on Paramount Plus as a 6-episode limited event, with the first 3 episodes dropping on day 1 and the final 3 a week later. It's absolutely bingeable, but don't expect another ranch war. This looks to be far more intimate. The story follows the Clyburn family, who are wealthy New Yorkers whose lives are shattered when the family patriarch and his son die in a tragic plane crash. In the aftermath, the matriarch Stacy, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, makes a radical decision to uproot the family from Manhattan and relocate to the rugged Madison River Valley in Montana. What follows isn't about land or power struggles, it's about grief and resilience. It's about who you become when the foundation of your life is suddenly gone. The star power here is undeniable. Pfeiffer headlines her first major TV role in years, bringing that sharp New York edge to a woman navigating unbearable loss. Kurt Russell co-stars, and early footage hints at emotional flashbacks that contrast the strength of their past love story with the present fracture of the family, and I am sure that layered storytelling is going to hit hard. Sheridan fans will recognize the sweeping Montana landscapes, but tonally this leans into family drama over Western spectacle. It expands that familiar universe without relying on the Dutton name. So if you're looking for something cinematic, character-driven, and emotionally devastating, this might be the one in March that hits the deepest.
The true friends who see me so deeply and accept me so completely. You guys seriously saved my life.
A body was found early this morning.
Up next on the list is Imperfect Women, the new Apple TV Plus limited series premiering Wednesday, March 18th with a 2-episode launch before rolling out weekly through April. It's an 8-episode psychological thriller that's already drawing comparisons to shows like Big Little Lies and Little Fires Everywhere, but early buzz suggests this one is darker, tighter, and far more psychologically brutal. The story centers on a decades-long friendship between 3 women that is violently shattered by a murder. Eleanor, played by Kerry Washington, is the smart, fiercely independent rock of the group, but even rocks crack and she's hiding a dangerous vulnerability. Mary, played by Elizabeth Moss, is brilliant but worn down by motherhood, responsibility, and a husband who has slowly drained her spirit. And then there's Nancy, portrayed by Kate Mara, who is the beautiful, wealthy, seemingly perfect friend whose shocking murder causes that carefully curated image to unravel layer by layer. As investigators close in, Eleanor and Mary are forced to confront a devastating possibility. The Nancy they loved may have been an illusion, and the show makes it clear this isn't just a whodunit, it's an autopsy of a friendship. It explores identity, resentment, loyalty, and the quiet lies we tell our closest friends and ourselves. With a stacked cast that also includes Joel Kinnaman, Corey Stoll, and Leslie Odom Jr., every scene promises weight and intensity. What sets Imperfect Women apart is that it doesn't just rely on rich women with secrets energy. It feels more like a psychological pressure cooker. The circle is smaller, the betrayal's more intimate, and the fracture's more personal. So if you're looking for a sophisticated thriller with layered character work, beautiful tension, and twists that hit hard, this absolutely belongs on your March watch list.
I hope you can walk because I'm not carrying you.
Another heavy hitter dropping in the month of March is the Disney Plus original/reboot Daredevil, Born Again Season 2. This series premieres March 24th, and this is rather fast, even after the massive success of Season 1. The keyword this season is resistance, and that perfectly captures the tone. This isn't small-scale vigilantism anymore, this is war for the soul of New York. Season 2 picks up right where we left off, with Wilson Fisk now fully operating as mayor and abusing that power. He declared martial law and unleashed his anti-vigilante task force to hunt down every masked hero in the city. Fisk isn't a crime boss hiding in the shadows anymore. He is the law, and that forces Matt Murdock underground, turning this into a full resistance story as he builds allies and fights back from the margins of a city that's turning against him. The stakes are deeply personal as well for our characters. Heather Glenn returns, now serving in Fisk's administration, creating an ideological divide between her and Matt. We also see Karen Page back, and she is now the emotional anchor of the resistance, and Bullseye's return promises escalating chaos. But the real internet-breaking moment, Kristen Ritter returning as Jessica Jones, and seeing the Defenders' chemistry reignite as they take on Fisk's regime is going to be huge for longtime fans. Tonally, this season is said to lean darker and more visceral. Matt is back in black with a stripped-down tactical suit, and the action is being teased as raw and bone-crunching. Add in Matthew Lillard as a new political power player challenging Fisk from a different angle, and you've got street-level brutality layered with political intrigue. So I am definitely checking out Daredevil Born Again Season 2 because this one feels like the darkest MCU chapter yet.
Oh my god. Sharp Eye, are you going to be the next James Bond?
This next one is such a cool addition to March because it refuses to sit in just one genre, and this is the Prime Video series Bait that we get on March 25th, and this marks Riz Ahmed's first series lead since The Night Of. It already built serious buzz at Sundance, and early reactions suggest this might be the smartest and most unpredictable show of the month. Ahmed plays a struggling actor who suddenly lands the audition of a lifetime. He is in the final running to be the next James Bond. The entire series unfolds over 4 chaotic days as news leaks that he could become the first South Asian 007. From that moment on, his life spirals, family, exes, tabloids, and the entire online world suddenly have opinions about whether he's the right man for the job. And what starts as a dream opportunity quickly turns into a pressure cooker fueled by public expectation. What makes it especially sharp is how meta it is. Riz Ahmed has been a real-life fan favorite for Bond casting for years, and the show leans directly into that cultural conversation. It begins as satire, mocking Hollywood, identity politics, and hero worship, but is said to slowly shifts into psychological thriller territory. The title Bait hints at something darker as he begins to suspect the audition itself might be a trap, positioning him as a symbol for something far more cynical happening behind the scenes. With Guz Khan playing his chaotic but loyal best friend and a stylish, slightly trippy visual tone throughout, Bait looks like it is going to be fast, funny, tense, and just uncomfortable enough to keep you hooked. So if you love industry satire with a psychological edge and a good downward spiral story, this one absolutely deserves your attention.
I'm sorry.
Another title I'm genuinely excited about this month is the Netflix original Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen, which premieres on March 26th. This is a major new production from the Duffer Brothers under their Upside Down Pictures banner, and yes, the same minds behind Stranger Things, but don't expect 80s nostalgia or synth-heavy adventure. This is being described as atmospheric psychological horror, and everything I am hearing and seeing suggests it leans hard into pure dread. The story follows Rachel and Nikki, an engaged couple heading to Nikki's family's secluded, snow-covered estate for what's supposed to be their dream wedding. It is 5 days at a remote location with her wealthy, secretive in-laws. What could possibly go wrong? As the countdown to the ceremony begins, unsettling coincidences start stacking up, strange behavior, conversations that stop when Rachel enters the room, accidents that feel far too intentional, and then there's the mother-in-law Victoria, the icy and perfectly controlled matriarch whose presence alone is reportedly enough to make your stomach drop. The title isn't subtle and it doesn't feel metaphorical. Something very bad is going to happen. And as the wedding approaches, the series explores the psychological unraveling of the couple, pushing Rachel to question not just the family she's marrying into, but the man standing at the altar. Tonally, this feels like a pivot for the Duffer Brothers, so less popcorn horror and more elevated tension. A slow burn descent that prioritizes under-the-skin anxiety over jump scares. It's also directed by Weronika Tafilska, who helmed Baby Reindeer, so expect that same claustrophobic, uncomfortable camera work that makes you feel trapped right alongside the characters. But if you're into stylish, intimate, and deeply unsettling horror, this absolutely deserves a spot on your March binge list. Next up is perfect if you love dark crime thrillers with morally messy detectives, and this is Joe Nesbo's Detective Hole, premiering March 26th on Netflix. Set against the cold, gray, almost suffocating backdrop of Oslo, the series introduces Harry Holpert, played by Tobias Santelman. A brilliant but deeply self-destructive homicide detective, and when a serial killer begins leaving behind a 5-pointed star at every crime scene, what starts as a standard investigation quickly spirals into something far more personal and dangerous. Because Harry isn't just hunting a killer, he's fighting his own department. He's forced to work alongside his longtime nemesis, Tom Waller, played by Joel Kinnaman. Publicly, Waller is a respected, charismatic, high-ranking detective, Privately, Harry suspects he's corrupt, possibly even a murderer himself, so now you've got a serial killer stalking Oslo and a potential monster inside the police force. That dual tension is said to really drive this show. The personal stakes make it even heavier. Raquel, the love of Harry's life, becomes the emotional anchor as he spirals deeper into obsession and alcoholism. She and her son Oleg are the only things tethering him to reality, and you can feel that rope starting to fray. What makes this adaptation stand out is that Joe Nesbu himself serves as showrunner and wrote all 9 episodes. This is his definitive vision, with the dark, cynical, methodical pacing fans of the books have been waiting for. Add in a haunting original score by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis, and the atmosphere alone feels immersive. The face-off between Santelman and Kinnaman is shaping up to be electric. Santelman brings a raw, barely holding it together vulnerability to Harry, while Kinnaman leans fully into the wolf in sheep's clothing energy. So if you enjoy twisted, character-driven crime stories where the hero might be just as broken as the villain, Detective Hole looks like a must-watch this March.
Everything that's happened led to this moment. Your generation is going to do things people can't even fathom.
Then last but not least for our list here today, we see the definitive sci-fi recommendation in March, and this is the Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind Season 5. This incredible alternate history space race drops on March 27th. And after the asteroid heist in Season 4, the balance of power between Earth and Mars has completely shifted, and we land in 2012 during what's being called the Martian Revolution era. And the scale of this world just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Happy Valley is no longer a research outpost, it's a thriving Martian colony with thousands of residents, but Earth is tightening its grip, demanding oversight and control, and that sparks a full-blown independence movement. Mars isn't just in survival mode anymore, it's demanding sovereignty. The show has officially evolved from a race to land somewhere into a fight over who owns it. Ed is still on Mars, now in his 70s, a living symbol of Martian independence whose old guard instincts clash with a younger, more radical generation. Meanwhile, Margot remains deeply embedded in the political maneuvering between NASA and Roscosmos, trying to stop tensions from spiraling into interplanetary conflict, and the character drama feels just as compelling as the spectacle. At this stage, For All Mankind isn't just a space show, it's a geopolitical thriller set off-world. With sprawling Martian cities, deep space infrastructure, and the promise of even bigger horizons ahead, it remains one of the smartest, most ambitious series on television. If you love politically charged sci-fi series like The Expanse, this is the perfect show to jump into. Thanks for hanging out with us all the way to the end of the video. We appreciate you hanging out with us. If you don't mind, take a second to like, comment, or check out one of our other videos right here. It does help us get our content in front of others looking for great shows they can watch from the comfort of their own homes. But thanks again, and we will see you in the next one.